We use.
I have an.
Yeah. The order and the it wasn't please.
By United States. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Next item is our public comment. This is an opportunity for people from the public to make comments to the board. It's not a discussion period. It's not a give and take. It's just a chance for you, public, to make comments. There's a 3-minute time, 3-minute time limit. And we suggest that you state the name, and if the affiliated with the group or something like that. So we'll start with, is there any public comment in the room? Yes.
Bear with me because I'm probably going to be upset. I'm probably going to cry. Candy Boy, previous Morrow County employee for over 20 years. Retired December 16th. Still have not received a retirement check. I sent an email to the commissioners, the administrator, and HR, January 20th. The only person I've been in contact with is Chelsea, HR. Gus responded this morning. First one to do so. Very disappointed in all of you for that. At least to reach out to say, hey, what's going on? Why is this issue not resolved? No retirement check for 2 months now. Not okay. The ball's been dropped by every department except myself. And that's not okay. So for people before me, they've had issues with our middle person rep and everything else. Chelsea, I understand, is new. I understand did not know the process. I get that. Not okay for everyone else to not acknowledge that you have something wrong. You could have reached out to me and asked me how I'm doing. How has this impacted me? Is there anything that we can do? And to not have one of you do that really pisses me off and should piss off anybody in the future. If it was your checks and you had to count on them, how would that impact feel to your life? So I just want you all to know that I'm really disappointed. The issue is still not resolved. All I'm being told is it's being processed. That's not okay. That's all I want to say.
Chair, if you don't mind, Chris, and just touch base with Candy before the meeting, and only recently became aware that it had not been resolved after the original email, and I do apologize about not personally reaching out to you. I've in finding out it wasn't, I've pushed. We're going to have. I'm going to be pushing for daily updates with our facilitators until we get you that check, and I will be in touch with you personally during that time. So, my apologies. This needs to be fixed, and we're looking at some checklists and that, so the employees can know what the expectations are, and that our internal processors are in line to support our great retirees, because this is the last thing we want is put in, whether it's 6 years or 20 plus years.
It doesn't matter.
It shouldn't have that uncertainty. So thank you for coming in, and my sincerest apologies for the frustrations that you're going through. We'll get this fixed.
Thanks.
Is this a problem that's caused by Nationwide?
Not directly. There's
It started here. It started here.
It's the process of how we get the information. There's some incorrect forms gotten things that NBS was not aware of. They're the ones who kind of facilitated. Nationwide is more or less the holder of the money. NBS and it comes back to, we don't have a one-stop shop for retirement. We're still kind of managing it. They're holding the funds, but so it's just part of the hybrid system that we have. We need to be cleaner.
In the email, John or Jeff, if you'll read it, I don't know if you have or not.
I did.
It does lay out the process of how it started. It started with an invoice not being paid to NBS so that they could do their process, which then fell into, oh, we don't have all of the paperwork, which then fell into just more time processing, which there needs to be a check sheet, which I thought that we had done that when I met with Chelsea on my last day. And that check sheet obviously is not a good check sheet because there's continued to be forms that needed to be filled out that should have been done in the very beginning. I mean, when you give your notice in August and you leave in December and they figure out that they still don't have all the paperwork, that's not okay.
Definitely improvement that needs to be taken.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that has a comment? Public comment? Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to make a public comment? Raise your hand.
No hands raised.
Good. Next up, we have the consideration and adoption of the agenda.
Any changes, man? At this time, I think we're good. Heard any changes?
I will move for approval of the agenda as presented.
In a second. Been moved to second. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next up, we'll have our department reports. We'll start with the Susty and tax quarterly report. Mike?
Unless somebody has questions, I give a written report.
That's fine. Okay, so public works monthly report, Eric?
Good morning, Commissioners. January report. We'll start with roads. It's been, as everybody knows, a very unseasonably warm and dry winter. So we haven't spent a whole lot of time plowing roads, but we have been in the upper areas a little bit, Willow Creek, and we also have been putting the de-icer out on different grades and corners and hills and intersections. Have done some of that. The rest of the month is really, again, same as last month. The crew's been out working on improving drainage, culverts, and lots of ditch work. I do have in here recently, this last month in December and in January, we did see another uptick of signs coming up missing, and the guys that are out fixing them and replacing them, it's pretty easy to tell when they're knocked over by weather or whether they come up missing or stolen. And that's the case this last month. We lost about 6 or 7 different signs in the Lexington area, and just ask the public, if you see anything or any suspicious activity, to get a hold of the sheriff or call Public Works so we can follow up on that. And we're probably going to go out and put some cameras back up in some trouble areas to try and help that. Also, additionally, I don't have it in the report, but we did have our road committee meeting, and it went well. The major topics were just finishing up this 5-year plan, which will be completed by the end of June this fiscal year. And Rory and I, Deputy Director Rory and I, will be working on a new 5-year plan and bringing it to the road committee. We'll probably have a special meeting, try and get that done before the July meeting, and get their input and voting on, and then of course bringing it to the Board of Commissioners. So that's in addition to my report. Any questions on road activities?
So along with your road, your 5-year plan, you coming on the bridge assessment plan of what we need to do with bridges?
Thank you for that question. We have been without a engineer record or civil engineering contract for quite some time now. We do have finally have an RFP out for that. It's supposed to close, I believe, this next week. So to answer your question directly, I haven't done anything for the last year and a half. Right before the contract ended with Anderson Perry a few years ago, a quote was provided for the Bridge Master Plan, and it is going to be my priority once we have an engineer record again to move forward with that and get moving. It's extremely important. Our bridges, we have a lot of low rated bridges, as you know, and it's some structural issues too on other bridges. Very, very important. So that'll be a high priority soon. And I'll report on that bridge master plan when we get it up and running. So. The airport, it was winter months, traffic slowed a little bit. I guess significant things we're working on there is getting the runway stripes repainted. The cold weather caught up with us. We got the center stripes done and some of the end painting done, and Rose is going to work on a contract to get that completed. We kind of been doing it in-house, and that's not working very well. So we're going to get a contract out to get the rest of the painting completed. Rose did want to share that December has marked a special milestone. The airport has celebrated 80 years of service, 1945, since 1945, and is proud of the legacy of supporting the general aviation in Morrow County. That's concludes airport. The roadside weed control, Corey and Justin continue to work on problem areas, manually removing vegetation that's just been kind of overgrowing. We have had our contractor for mowing and brushing out as well. They're finished up, but Justin and Corey have some extra time during the winter, so they're helping too. And they also finished their drone pilot testing, which is pretty exciting. They both passed that. So in preparing for receiving drones, I think this next fiscal year, but I just wanted to report that they passed their test. That was a big milestone. And solid waste. During the winter, again, it's a little bit slow, but the new scales are up and running, and the fee schedule, and it's working really well. Everyone's really excited, especially the attendants, being able to utilize that new fee schedule. Fee complaints have virtually stopped. So we're excited about that. And we will continue to look at revenues and, expecting some changes there. So we'll keep track of that. Rose is keeping track of it weekly, and we'll report on that. We'll give it a couple months and report on that. That's the end of my report, unless there's additional questions.
I got a question, it has to do with weeds. You probably remember back when we were talking about the solar weed compliance fee that we established. And we laid it in the last one. But on the last pilot agreement, thank you. And at the time we talked about a fee for wind property. Are you still in agreement that that's something we should do, or?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to continue to, I know Oregon Department of Energy is responsible for that, but there's always an impact to the weed coordinator. So yes.
I thought so. Yes. Just wanted to maybe get that ball rolling because we do have one coming up,
That is a conversation that we haven't had recently.
The fee is the way I understand it. I just remember talking to you guys, the experts on how it's done and everything. it's different, it would be different than a solar, you know, depending on the road layout and stuff like
We were
that.
looking at acreage impacted and maybe trying to set up a fee that way.
Yeah. So, and also, I noticed in the CIP plan, there's a new heat facility mentioned, you know,
Yes.
and in that, it mentions that that's needed because of increased renewables, solar.
Hmm.
Well, at this point, we're doing compliance. We've always said it's compliance, not mitigation. So if the county's gonna be impacted, justified having more facilities, to me, it's logically to say, hey, if these activities are causing an impact, then let's definitely get that fee down to help that out. Does that make sense?
It does.
So would you be up to us holding a work session to try and get a something nailed down when we start talking to the wind people and say we want this as part of the negotiation?
I would. And bring Corey in, weed manager too, I think would be important. And again, the time goes by and, sooner than later would probably be good.
Yeah, I think I'd like to get it in place because now we kind of, we know we have a fee and it's been implemented once, so we kind of know what to tell the solar.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so,
We'll talk more about that and
okay, good.
start emailing,
Okay.
get something nailed
Yeah,
down.
okay.
Okay.
All right, that's all I said.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners.
Next up is county leader.
Commission, to appreciate this opportunity to report. The written report, I just want to point out a couple items. CIP Advisory Committee, we've had several meetings over the last little bit. We're excited about the work session to kind of continue to prioritize and get that ready. And we're looking to really get the priorities on that and then bring it to a final adoption and consideration at the next meeting, if possible. We did attend a meeting with the city of Heppner, Gilmore Street, along this back side of our port facility or county facilities. Will be under construction starting June 2026. They're doing a full reclaim and replacing water and sewer lines, so it's going to have a prolonged impact. We'll need to make sure we take a look at it and get word out to the circuit court and others and get that posted on the website as it gets closer. Anderson Perry's dealing with that for the city. They're the project managers and the engineers, and so they will get information to us as the time gets closer. We don't see it impacting our parking so much, but when we have the heavy days for circuit court and that, we will definitely be more impacted. They are looking at closely managing fire and ambulance access through here. And so those are some things they're looking for feedback from the respective districts there. Two other items we're looking at, just to give you a small update. The Bartholomew Mill Emergency Generator Project. We're pushing for that and we did not receive bids back. It looks like we are in the same lot with several other counties and municipalities on this EOM grants, where people are very shy about the generator lead time. Our consultant who's been helping us through this process, it has been in discussions with OEM, and they are looking at giving us an extension. That nothing's been official on that. We're hoping that that can happen so we can facilitate this grant and get that taken care of. Also, we're working on the fairground grants. Several of those have come in higher with the project labor rates, and so we're prioritizing some of those and getting those in place. We anticipate still being able to fully use that grant before the due date. Any other questions on that? Do want to say we have a couple open positions, and we're excited because we've had some interviews or planning some interviews and for principal planner and the finance manager, which have been very significant impacts not having those positions filled. So hopefully we can get some good candidates in there shortly. If there's no other questions, that's my report. Oh, I do want to make a comment. I was out for 2 weeks in January. Do appreciate my department heads, especially Vincent, kind of carrying some of that load while I was out, and patience of the commission and other elected officials as well. I was unavailable, so thank you.
Okay, next item up will be our consent agenda. Is there any of those you want to pull out, Jeff?
Nope, I'll move for approval of the consent agenda.
One second. Moved and second, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, motion carried. That moves us into our business items. Financial statement and auditors report, this is year ended June 30th, 2025. Kevin.
Good morning, commissioners. Yeah. Kevin Ince, Finance Director. So this year, we did achieve our goal of getting our audit filed on time by the December 31 date. It was right down to the wire, but we got it done. So big improvement over prior years. We've got Kathy Wilson and Brad Bingenheimer from Singer Lewack, the county's audit firm, online here, who are going to discuss the process, results, and as well as field any questions that the commission may have. Maybe. Are they?
Okay.
This is muted and I just allowed sharing video. English.
Kathy and Brad? Oh, first Brad.
Yes, I'm here. Kathy's here too. So let me share my screen real quick and we can go over.
Brad, if you could hold on just one minute, we're having a volume issue here.
Okay.
We're looking at.
You want to test it out?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay,
Well, it's business and good, I think.
let's see. Screen share.
Might need a lot of soundboard at some point, I think.
What's other than that?
Okay. Okay. So can you hear me? Everything okay?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about your audit real quick and give you some financial highlights. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Oh,
Swap screens there.
Yeah, just give us 1 second while we swap screens.
Okay. Sorry.
there we go.
All right, there we go.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Kevin,
I can kind of see your screen.
I'm sorry, just for a
you know.
second. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but did he identify himself and who he's with, for the record?
Yeah.
I introduced him, but yeah, he
Could you-
could identify himself.
I might have
Yes.
missed it, I'm sorry.
Good morning. So, yeah, I'm Brad Bingenheimer, a partner with Singer Lewack. And with me today is Kathy Wilson, a director at Singer Lewack. And once again, we had the opportunity to serve as the county's auditor for the year ended June 30, 2025. And of course, the whole point of our audit is to give an opinion on the financial statements. So we've issued our opinion. It's what we consider to be an unmodified report, which basically says, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position and results of operations of the county for the year ended June 30, 2025. Now, you note on this screen, there's the second to the last paragraph. There's a little item there, emphasis of a matter. That's because the county had to implement a new accounting standard this year, accounting statement number 101, which expanded the amount of the liability reported for compensated absences. It's no longer just those items that would be paid out should somebody leave. It also includes an estimate of sick leave that is expected to be used by people. So a change there. So that does create a change in the financial statement slightly, and we'll go over that in a moment here. So some financial highlights real quick. So Your governmental activities for the year, your total assets ended the year at $153 million. Your deferred outflows are $5 million. Liabilities of $35 million. A little bit of deferred inflows. And then your overall net position in the year at 122 million, which is a increase of about $6 million, $6.5 million from the prior year. It's kind of some things to note that, yeah, overall your assets did increase by $8 million, largely in those assets other than capital assets. In looking at the change in your the county's net position, overall your revenues went down a little bit compared to the prior year of around 49.4 million this year compared to 53.5 in the prior year. And then your total expenses, they did increase. They went from 37.9 million to 42.3 million. So your net position, you still have a positive change in net position of $7 million during the year. And then you see those two items down there at the bottom after the net position beginning. There was a small error correction related to an accrual that management wanted to have corrected this year. So that was in there. As auditors, we talked about this. It's like, well, if you want to record it, go ahead. If you want to run it through the current year, because that's not a material amount of money. So one small item there, the management did want to have corrected. And then that $645,000 change in accounting principle, that's the impact of that new accounting standard, GASB 101, on those compensated absences. So you implement that the first day of the year. So the initial impact was a decrease in the beginning net position of $645,000. So obviously, you have all the funds, but of course the primary fund of the county is the general fund. And so the ended the year with a general fund balance of $12.7 million, which was a $7.6 million decrease from the prior year. But when you look at that, your ending fund balance as a percentage of the expenditures for the year is still a very healthy 53%. I always tell people, anything below 20% there, that's getting kind of thin. Whereas it's somewhere between, 20 and 50, that's usually considered pretty healthy. And so you're just right above that 50%. So you're still a very healthy general fund balance. I see a typo there. Your general fund revenues weren't 3 million in the prior year. They were 33.1 in the prior year, but 33.3 in the current year. So general fund revenues didn't change that much. Your expenditures did increase about $4 million. And then you had other financing sources and uses that had an impact on the general fund balance. Those are mainly transfers out to other funds. So it wasn't expenditures or things going out of the county, it was moving the money from the general fund to other funds, as had been planned in your budget. So one of the things I do like to talk about with governments is this net pension liability. If you look back here at the liabilities presented, so total liabilities are $35 million. Your single largest liability is this net pension liability, which I apologize, this is probably a little hard to see on your screen, but at the end of the year, you had a net pension liability of $23.3 million. And that's actually a slight decrease from the prior year. And essentially, this is, of course, for your the county's pension plan. Just recognize, that there is, when you compare the projected future payments to retirees brought back to a current year net present value using a discount rate, compare that to the assets that are set aside, you end up with this $23 million liability. Now, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, because when you look at the next page, you're contributing actually more than you need to the plan. So the actuary says, to fund everything, you should contribute $3 million. You actually contributed $3.3 million. So you have an excess contribution. So you're doing everything right there in terms of your contributions. But you still end up with a net pension liability just by the nature of how pensions work. They're never going to be fully funded. But the one thing that I would mention is, your contribution percentage here, which has, been steadily increasing. And, for the current year, your contributions were 70% basically of your covered payroll, which is a pretty hefty amount. When every dollar of payroll, you're contributing additional 70 cents to pensions. So in addition to our report on the financial statements themselves, we have several other reports. The first one of which is the required under Oregon minimum standards. In this report, we're required to look at your compliance with specific Oregon laws and regulations that I've listed out here. So as part of our audit, we go through and we do some tests on these, and those tests did not identify any material instances of non-compliance with these laws and regulations. That report also briefly mentions internal controls. Of course, as part of every audit, we come in and we gain an understanding of your organization's internal controls. Who's doing what processes transactions go through. And we do that, in part to help us plan our audit, to make sure we're focusing on the areas that maybe have a little bit higher risk than otherwise. But in addition, it also can provide information to you if we identify anything related to internal controls. Now, in addition to our minimum standards report, we also have the government auditing standards report, which talks specifically about internal controls again. And this requires us that if we do identify something, we bring it forth to you in a communication about anything that we identify as a significant deficiency or a material weakness in internal controls. And those relate to the financial reporting on the financial statements. And have to report, we did not identify any weaknesses in internal controls that we need to be bringing to your attention. That same report also talks very briefly about compliance with laws and regulations. So besides those that we test under Oregon minimum standards, we also consider, are there any other laws or regulations such that you would need to comply? We have to make sure you're complying with them. Otherwise, they would have a material effect on the financial statements. And the results of our test did not identify any instance of noncompliance there. And then the final report that we issue in connection with our audit is one on federal compliance. So because the county expends more than $750,000 of federal money during the year, we're required to do additional procedures on specific major federal programs. And we do two things on that. We basically are testing to determine, have you complied with those requirements? And do you have internal controls to ensure that you remain in compliance with those program requirements? And so our testing, you had total expenditures of $2.9 million. The two programs we tested are the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund and a program called the Congressionally Mandated Programs. Between the two of those, we audited 58% of your total federal expenditures. And in that, we did have one finding. It related to the timely submission of a report for that congressionally mandated program. Basically, what happened, you had a change in personnel. The person who was doing this wasn't there all of a sudden, slipped through the cracks. It was caught, but still it was not submitted timely. So that was a compliance finding. I would view that as an isolated event. Talked about with management about this so that it can be avoided in the future. So that's a very brief overview of the audit. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions.
I don't either.
Just good to see that we've got a clean audit. Kevin's really happy about that.
Before
I'm
May.
sure.
Okay, with no more questions, Kevin, do you have anything last minute thing that you wanted to add before we got a motion or anything?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the fiscal year 2025 financial statements and auditors report.
I'll make that motion.
Second, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next, a letter of support for impacts grant application, Jessica.
Jessica is online.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jessica Rose, the Morrow County Lipstick Coordinator. This grant is the Impacts Grant. It's a continuation from last biennium. We were awarded the grant funds for another couple of years. If you recall, this is a pass-through grant that Morrow County and Umatilla County agreed to apply for together. And the goal is to reach those who are the most frequent utilizers of both the emergency room and the jail. So really the most high needs population are what is being sought out to stabilize them and provide them with whatever resources they need to reduce the usage of the emergency department, such as getting involved with primary care, getting them on OHP, and whatever other treatments they might need. So this is just a letter of support that the county supports the grant funds coming through the county to CCS and the work that's been done.
So you have anything, Dave? So I'll be in favor of supporting the letter, but there's a couple of little changes that I think to make it read a little bit better. I'll let Valerie get to that page. So the second paragraph, third sentence down, starts with demonstrated shortage of support and services. Have you proposed putting the word for in there? So it's
Okay.
for individuals.
Okay.
And then the second to the last sentence starts with program aimed at improving services and reducing recidivism amongst, and I insert those identified or amongst those in the identified population.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yes.
Just- Okay,
So I move to approve sending this letter with those changes and everything.
one second. Move second to approve the letter with changes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, the road budget allocation. Funds to expedite the tractor, Coach News, Eric.
Good morning again. bringing this request for a reallocation of funds due to an unexpected major engine failure to a pretty old truck that we have. It's a 1988 Penworth, and I really don't want to. I don't think that the county should be making that repair. I think we just need to replace that truck. It is, you might wonder, what are we doing with a 1988 Kenworth at this point? We've been working really hard since I've been here, and I think before my time, at getting the rolling stock and equipment kind of up to date. Because so many years of little money, you could imagine that takes quite a few years, and we've been making a really good headway. We've got a lot of new equipment, new heavy equipment. We've been replacing trucks, and do believe when we get to the point where the rest of this aging equipment has been replaced, we can expect a better replacement program and not have these failures mid-budget cycle. And that's why I'm bringing it. We had planned on replacing this truck next fiscal year. Gave up the ghost now. We rely on those 4 tractors heavily. Our budget has we have all the equipment that we planned on, and I've realized quite a bit of savings on those purchases. They just came in. A lot of those purchases came in under budget. So Kevin put together and supplied an equipment acquisition spreadsheet we put together real quick just to show where we're at on the budget. We won't, if this is approved, we won't need to do a budget adjustment of any kind, except I wanted to note that we would need to postpone a security project at Public Works, which I'm not too concerned about right now. So that's the history of it. Again, it wasn't called out in the budget, so we wanted to make sure and bring it to you all.
So you're gonna avoid a 15% increase? Was that, no, I mean, by purchasing,
Oh, I don't remember covering that. You mean as far as annual price increases on equipment? I didn't really look into that necessarily. I'm just trying to replace the truck.
no, I understand, it's just kind of a bonus.
It is. I mean, sure. I'm sure, equipment seems like the prices go up every year.
You
For
know,
sure.
$30,000 to do it that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, I do want to call out that the quote that is provided in this packet, that truck has been sold. So specifically that is not, if this is approved, will not be the truck. It's already sold. There's other trucks available. The salesman that Kelly and I have been working with has already identified other trucks that are exactly the same. But I definitely wanted to call that out. I think that this truck that I presented was out of California, and there's one identical to it in Missouri or Minnesota or some states starting with an M. It's back east somewhere. So, Kevin, you have anything to add?
No, I think you covered it great.
Any questions?
No. So move to approve the reallocation of funds to purchase a new tractor truck and appoint the county administrator to effective purchase and payment.
No second. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion carried.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Next up was our Decam property foreclosure update, Mike.
Forgive me, I'm a little slow. I just had a second hernia surgery yesterday, and the first one was last Tuesday. So one of the properties that are in property tax foreclosure is a Zeacam. It was an experimental ethanol plant on leased land over at the port of Morrow. This property, the county hasn't acquired yet. I haven't. This is kind of an interesting thing because that's on leased land. There's no deed, but we do have a circuit court judgment awaiting that's granting us the property, and I believe that it can happen. There's still a few things I need to do statutorily to finish that process, and I'm just kind of in a holding pattern right now. I think I gave that information to you back in December at my report back then. Anyway, to quit rambling on, because this property or these assets are on leased ground from the port has an interest on who's going to be the owner or potential owner. And in the last several months, we've had inquiries from some people that are interested in the property. I actually met with Lisa Middlesdorf and Mark Patton from the port with these people a couple of weeks ago. Then had some follow-up meetings with the port. The port believes there's actually other interested parties in this. And because this is an industrial property, it does not have to go to auction. Once the county acquires ownership of it, the county can then, dispose of it as it see fits. That's how I interpret the statute. Because it's industrial, it does not have to go to an auction. The port may be interested in acquiring the property from the county, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think that would be the best bet. Get the county out of it, then the port can dispose of it however they see fit because it's on land that they own. They will be terminating the current lease with the current owner that's in default and be making steps. Haven't got total confirmation from the port that they're willing to acquire the property, but my suggestion would be that they would pay the amount of delinquent taxes. Right now, it's about 1.1 million. That way, we can take that money, make all the districts whole, including the county. And there won't be any excess funds that we will have to deal with the new tax foreclosure laws. So I just kind of I'm not asking for any motion or any decision. I'm just kind of letting you know what's going on with that. The interested party that has been reaching out to me, and I gave them Matt too, and they reached out to Matt once or twice. They didn't have all of the funds available to purchase the property and wanted to know if the county would, do a short-term financing. And I was going to bring that up, but since the port may be interested, I think that's the best way for the port to acquire the property. And I think the port's going to talk about it, I think next week at their meeting, and I plan on attending that and answering any questions there that the commissioners may have. So that's all I have on that. Are there any questions?
Questions?
No, and I mean, I think you kind of covered it. It does seem interesting that the port still is the underlying owner of the ground, but because their lessee didn't pay the taxes, they could lose the ground, couldn't they?
No, there's a statute that says I cannot foreclose on lease ground on port property. So I can only foreclose on the assets. On
So the
improvements.
buildings and whatever equipment is still.
Yep, the buildings, the machinery equipment and everything that's still there. So the process would be, let's say that we want to move forward. I have to public notice in the paper that that property's at the end of its redemption period. It's way past the end of the redemption period, but I haven't noticed anything yet. And that's a 30-day process. And then I would send a certified letter to the current owners that citing the circuit court judgment that gives us the property and that they no longer can be there. They will be trespassed. And I'm hoping the next commission meeting, the county can cut the deal with the port and we can get this, at least this property resolved. And since there's, you know, more than one entity that's interested in acquiring the property and rehabbing it, that's kind of exciting as well. So,
So for the sake of hypothetical argument here, if the county were to auction the assets, then they would either have to remove the assets or enter into a lease with the port for the property.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I was really, trying to talk the port into, you guys just need to acquire this and deal with it as you see fit.
Well,
I agree with that.
that's what alleviated my concerns when I'm not an attorney, but our interests are aligned with the port and you don't have to auction.
Right.
That's.
And we don't need to be a middleman, and nor do we need to be a tenant of the port.
I thought it was gonna be, I bring it up because I talked to Sam Tucker about this also. He reached out from the Port of Morrow. And so we talked and he was like, oh, you know, what's the county gonna do with this building? Like, yeah, I don't know. This is all just it's just a structure, you know, on the land. I said, it could be a great loop building. We have a great bus spot. Of course, but I was like, you know, the county does need more industrial. We got to start our manufacturing company here, Morrow County Industries, you know, but it is a unique situation. I do agree. It makes it unlike everything else we might foreclose on. This reminds me more of like those manufactured home versus the property lot
Yeah,
situations, you know, it's
personal property, yeah.
yeah. So it's those kind of unique situations that we have. Oh, you have a building. Yeah, we have a building. We don't have land. So that's not much of a value. And that's what I was talking
I hope we don't have to do this again. I hope the future tenants of the port are good taxpayers.
So just because I'm curious, if there weren't port industrial ground, if somebody else owned the ground and releasing it, then we would acquire the ground and the assets.
Correct. Correct. Even if Zeacam owned the dirt too, we would be.
Right, but
Yep.
I was just thinking of
another tenant. Like,
XYZ owned the ground.
yeah,
and it-
Farmer Brown
it's-
owned it versus and
Well, even if somebody else owned the ground other than the port and not the county or the city, if it was a taxable entity that owned the ground, I could attach it and it would get foreclosed on. Yes.
Like I said, I was just curious.
So it's specifically port and I think cities and counties. Maybe schools.
Contributing factor because it's public body.
Well, and the port seems to have a good lobby at the legislature too.
Okay, so that's just an informational.
Yep.
I think, Mike.
Yep.
Okay, next up is our Ocean Relations Advisory Committee compensation recommendations. Valerie?
So, the Wolf Depredation Advisory Committee met on January 13th to review producer claim applications for compensation of non-lethal preventative measures. The total requested was $117,582. However, Morrow County for the 2025 grant year was awarded $50,000 for prevention. So the committee did some math and allocated amounts to each producer. I think they did it pretty fairly and reasonably, and they're just looking for your approval for distribution.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the compensation recommendations as presented to non-lethal depredation prevention.
I'll second. Then moving to second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Donna. Okay, next up is consideration of correspondence, the NSF proposal, it's the railroad deal, proposed UPN-NS. So. You don't know.
Yeah, sure. I put this on the agenda, just, we've received this request by BNSF to, they'd like to have parties go into oppose the proposed UP Santa Fe merger, and just wanted to see if the commission had any druthers on this. This is not something that we've discussed in the past, nor really fits in with any of strategic goals or such. And so, but just wanted to give the commission an opportunity to either discuss or take action as the board finds necessary.
Yeah. You know, I'd seen this in news feeds and stuff, and that's, yeah, understand that the first submission to the National Traffic Safety Board has been denied because it was incomplete. You know, UP can submit the information and they'll hear it again later in the year, but I guess really it boils down to, I don't know if the county has a dog in this fight, or definitely without not, you know, the board or grain growers or somebody come into us, give us an opinion. You know, I see what BNSF says, you know, you take off the competitor, choose a create more of a monopoly, but same token, I read something where it sounds like it'd make a true transcontinental railroad. So if you don't have to change carriers or anything else, it seems like it should lower prices and expedite service. I say without knowing if the county really has a dollar. It's my take on it.
I feel the same way. I mean, if one of our local constituents would have come in with an interest for the county, I would have had a stronger opinion, but
Yeah, we have not heard anything, just the request from NSF. So,
all right. Consideration of city of area land use notice, A and B.
Today, there's a strange situation here that I own property in the city here again. My mother-in-law owns property in the city here again. But there's I believe there's a provision in the state statute that allows that if we don't have enough. So Justin.
Yeah, okay, explain. And just for the staff, I did research this when this issue came up of saying, when it determined that Commissioner Pearson wasn't available, then it's like, okay, well, there's two per quorum. It's not an issue for consideration. And then the question came up, well, if there's a conflict then and there's only one, actual potential of the commission believes, oh, I can't vote on this, what can occur? And there is kind of a default idea of a rule necessity that applies where, well, if it's a tie and you have to have one to break a tie or something like that, then a conflicting commissioner can vote. That's usually the process too. So it's not just a saying, well, you can pass by one, but the conflicting commissioner can vote. That's generally for, again, necessity, where there's a quorum that can't be met, possibly met, and it's required for judicial, not judicial, but government functions that, but for this, we can't really go forward. This one's a little more unique in the fact of, one, it's not a requirement, it's a letter that's going out, possibly, is my understanding. But there is also a timeline. So there is, if the board wished to, and then come on there, talk about how it had to be submitted by today at 5 o'clock. There was a letter. I think that's what I saw in the agenda packet.
yes, if we wanted to do a letter of support submitted by or opposition.
So that could be possible where, well, it has to be, there's not time to set this over even to a special meeting. These, one of my recommendations was maybe this could be set over for a different meeting or a special meeting to still have it done. But if there is a time constraint that's possible, we can go forward on that. But I would still say there is a conflict and that commission would still need to vote if they wish to, my recommendation might be not to, because usually it's that idea of as a necessity, land, actions that are required, saying, hey, we have to pass the budget. It's 2-2, or we have to do this. And there is no other governing body that has performed that function. That's really where that rule of necessity applies. This, I think, is a little bit closer to the line where it is a letter that's not required for government function. The county maybe has an interest in sending something, but it's not a requirement the same way. So the first question is, even if that commissioner would be comfortable doing that vote, if it said, oh, well, if it's necessary that I will, I still think it's up to the commissioner who has a conflict to say whether they are even comfortable doing it. And then if the board is comfortable with the idea that, well, this is a necessary thing and the time constraints, so we are going to vote to pass BUDC. 2-0.
So I think that what I hear from Justin is that because it's probably not a big necessity for us, it'd probably be best that I do not. If it was something that we had to pass or something.
Additionally, the planning director just pointed out, while there's a 5 o'clock deadline to submit written notice on one way or the other, there's also two public hearings on February 5th and March 5th that we could go to and make actual verbal comments on that if the county so decided. So even if we needed to punt this back to the 18th, we could, and you wanted us to take action, staff or a board member could go and attend that meeting.
Yeah, so my understanding then that would be a meeting on the 18th. There could be, and there's Commissioner Peterson was president. Let's say there's an approval saying, yep, here's a 2-0 vote, since there's a big conflict, to have direct staff to either go and submit testimony regarding this, and here's the position of the county, or direct one of the commissioners to go on behalf of the county. And that's an option too. Yes, and that would show it's not necessary. We can set this over to the 18th for further discussions. So that's just my feedback so far. Is there any questions for me on it?
You're on solid ground saying that he definitely has it.
No, I'm not deciding that. I think, I was more the idea of saying, so I don't give guidance for if there is the conflict, but I was informed that there's a belief that, well, I think, the commissioner's saying, I think there's a conflict here. I'm not comfortable. What do we do in this situation now, since Commissioner Peterson's not present? So, okay, well, let's determine if you believe your conflict. I'm not going to say that for you or not. Then you can't vote. Can we find a way where you are able to vote by saying this necessity that, oh, you have to because of this rule necessity, you conflict that's going to pass by. Those are the steps. So I'm not saying whether there is a conflict or not, but that's up to the individual commissioner to decide.
So it comes down to me whether or not to carry this over to the 18th.
Yeah, or yeah, I would say that.
No, this is how all the decisions should be made. I like this. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
you recommend that.
I do. My recommendation at this point, then, Clean's option would be to have this set over to the 18th.
Oh, Gus is online and raised his hand.
Oh, see now. Oh,
Oh, Gus,
He was, Gus says he was planning to join us for the executive session.
oh, so, yeah,
There he is.
go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Seems like I just joined on. I think I could help us out. Sorry, I don't sound very good. Oh dear.
so just so in case we're all on the same page in the record, then Commissioner Gus Peterson now joining via WebEx here. Wasn't joining later on, so I guess if he wishes to continue on, we now have 3 voting bodies. We did not at the beginning of the meeting. It wasn't added to that now, I guess.
Okay, and you didn't call for a vote anyways.
I did not.
Consensus. So Gus, you heard the discussion? Or did you get on early enough to hear the discussion?
You're muted again. One.
You lost your voice. Is that part of your way you feel?
There we go. Yes, I joined on right at the end of the last agenda item. So I did hear the discussion on this.
Got enough information to join a consensus to move
Yes.
to the. Okay, that makes.
Or
Yes.
you can do it today because you have 2 votes.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Okay. So.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recuse myself because I own property within the city of Barry.
Okay, so just a consensus. Do you agree with moving forward?
I do. Yes.
Okay,
So
I do too. So.
I mean, moving forward with a letter to a response by today by 5 o'clock, or a request to move it to the 18th. I guess I didn't know which one it was.
Yeah, and like, we don't need to move it to the 18th.
We don't.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
I would move that we have a statement of support from the county to be submitted by 5 p.m. tonight.
I'll second. Move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay. Very good. Got that pulled out. You showed up just in time there.
Just for clarification, would you like to, don't know if we have a letter prepared at this point. Would you be okay with staff signing on behalf of the board or using digital signatures? Since you don't have a
I'm
letter.
gonna ask him if he wants to amend his motion. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think my motion would have been for staff. I trust you can write a letter supporting
That's-
just,
Could you give us the motion again? Valerie?
Commissioner Peterson motioned that we have a statement of support from the county to be submitted by 5 p.m. tonight.
Norm, is that good enough, Shannon? The staff?
Signed
It's
by
assumed staff is gonna sign it?
I would just say now, there's another motion to direct that letter of support be drafted and signed by staff. That just clears it up more, I think. And it's just more in addition, just clarifies that the prior motion was a letter of support. And then now this one's clarifying that letter of support is written and signed by staff, representing what the board said here.
Okay,
okay, I make that motion.
I'll second. All, further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay. That takes care of our business items, right? Yep, okay.
Yes.
Subject correspondence, Valerie? got
No correspondence.
Commissioners' reports, Jeff, you got anything?
Oh, so most everybody probably knows what's happened with the CDA. It's been in the paper. Greg Smith resigned as executive director. Emily Collins has been appointed as the interim executive director for the CDA. All entities have signed the settlement agreement for the lawsuit that was brought forward by Umatilla County. And then we had a special meeting on Friday that they read the resolution, rescinded the original motion, distributed the property, and passed a new motion that redistributed the property. It didn't affect anything on the Morrow County side. Still, all the parcels in Morrow County are going to the board for Morrow. On the Umatilla County side, now some of the property has been transferred to the Umatilla County that had been going to go to the port, and the tribes ended up with the old site. And when I asked Commissioner John Schaefer from Umatilla County when they were going to have the loose pendants removed, his remark was that day he was going to reach out to council to get that in the process. So how long that should take, then they should be able to move forward with transferring the property.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, I guess I'll just mention the upcoming CREZ meeting, two of them together. You know, let the board chairs sort out how they want to do it, but some of the business overlaps between 2 and 3, so call them for the same time. Finally got everybody together. It's on the 9th. Full agenda. I recommend anybody that has interest in what the CREZ does too. Of course, their big thing was dispersing the funds, 2025. And then CREZ 3 has some items too. So anyway, that's coming up 1 o'clock on the 9th. I think that's about all I got. Okay. I'm gonna call a 5-minute recess, and when we get executive session. We call the meeting back to order. We will now go. We will now go into executive session. First one being. We're gonna hold these because, right? Or I mean, confirm, right, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. These will be together. There's 2 of them. One of them is SUTORS 192-6602A, which allows the public body to hold executive session versus purpose of considering the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. And also at the same time, be pursuant to ORS 192-6602 D to conduct deliberations with person designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. We're going to have people online, so we. Media policy is representing the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All their members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision made in the executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session once the audience back in. And also, just to inform you, potential decision or action item as a result of the executive sessions is possible. So
One point of clarification, Chair. The first section, media is invited to with labor negotiations. That is one that media would not be able to attend, but we could have them come in for the first one and then excuse them for this.
okay, is there any media online?
Looks like we've got at least one.
Okay, so that's what ORS states. I forgot about that. You can't come to labor negotiations, but you can be in the first one. So we'll put you in the waiting room for the second portion. Okay? Now we'll go into executive session.
Okay, all right, everybody's in the waiting room. Let's see. Seven.
Here, we're coming out of executive session and calling the meeting back into open session. And I hear a motion.
So on the first one, moves to authorize the county administrator to extend an employment offer for the principal planner position of up to grade 26, step 7.
Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay, we moved to second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. Another one now?
Motion to authorize the negotiating team to respond to the Sergeants Association proposal as discussed in the executive session.
You got that, Valerie?
Motion to authorize negotiation team to respond to the sergeants union.
As per terms discussed in the executive session.
Yes.
That's my motion.
You second it? You're a
I
second?
second it.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
What discussion?
One more item after this, sir. No discussion.
So aye.
Oh, right, okay. Right, okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Chair, just a quick item. We need to have a special session on Friday just to approve the contract amendment for the circuit court. They didn't have that document ready until yesterday and I didn't bulldoze that out through this meeting. Commissioner Peterson had mentioned that he would be available in the afternoon. I was wondering if a 1 o'clock special session remote via Zoom might be supportable.
Friday?
Friday.
It'll be quick.
I'm hoping it's less than 30 minutes, 15,
Okay.
20 minutes.
Can make 1 o'clock.
We will get that contract out to you this afternoon, so you'll have a chance to read through it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other business come before the commission? Hearing none? Oh, and one announcement, we have a work session at 1:30
One.
to talk about the CID,
1:30.
capital improvement plan. Is it 1:30?
1:30.
Right here, anybody, and it's Zoom too, we have a Zoom link on there, right, Valerie? We have a Zoom link on our.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody that's still online, you wanna check in on that, that's what we're doing this afternoon. So.
Chair Sykes, if I might, I'm not going to make that work session, but I just want to say that the team did a really great job. I'm really happy with what we've got. And I'm excited for you guys to see the final product. So that's what I'm going to say on it.
Well, I could add something. looked at it yesterday. I didn't know you guys were that far along, and I told Matt, I said, boy, you guys really hustled, and the report looks really good. I'm impressed with what you guys put together, Gus.
Yeah,
I
so-
think you got a heck of a good package there.
Yes,
And
so I
it's-
agree with that, and thank you.
It is set for, it's on the calendar at 1 PM and the agenda says 1 PM.
So 1 p.m.
And the CIP work is online in case somebody wants to look at it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.